Yeah. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot how close to get to the instructions.
They say 3 fingers. Yeah. Or 4.
Okay.
Close.
Okay. Close.
Can you move? Add another one. How long is this song? It's 2.5 minutes. Depends on when you start. Okay. So I'm gonna add another song. We're actually live.
Oh, yeah.
I can see you on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's a short-ish song.
I'm gonna ask y'all to take y'all's earpieces off real quick against this.
Oh, I got the I like that one better. Okay. So I don't need that.
Keep an eye out on this.
Okay. Okay, so less than 2 minutes. I said less than 2 minutes. You gotta share
Pretty
it.
much
You gotta share the time. Maybe share the time in front of you.
Yeah.
And don't have it on the table because you'll hear the vibration. My headset's going out. I can only hear this here. Okay, a little over a minute.
Make it look so easy. Cajun spice season, sexy for no
1
reason.
minute.
Appetite pleasing, enough to sink my teeth in. If I tell them how good your love is, they would believe me. I can't believe we're time. Looking like a picture. This story gets more pretty every chapter, more and more attractive. There's no matter. I'm about to leave. If I could be your man, you'll never want for nothing. Never leave with
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima here on Fishbowl Radio in the Green Stream and showing simultaneously on our Facebook Live on our page Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima is all about natural parenting, natural living, and a whole lot extra. And of course, we are your hosts, Lauren and Kima. Today's subject is about healthy eating and food choices. Our special guests today are Catherine Wright of the social media page Veggie Dallas, and she also happens to be my sister. And we would also like to welcome Karen Dotson, the owner of Farm to Fork, a natural food store here in Arlington. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, before we dive into today's topic, we want to spend some time on our weekly segment, which is What's Happening. If you have an opinion on the topic that we're about to discuss, feel free to call in at 214-431-5032 or add your thoughts in the comments on Facebook Live. So I came across this article written by the Baltimore Sun, and it's entitled 10 Ways to Keep Kids Reading This Summer. With the school year coming to a close, I know a lot of parents kind of wonder, okay, how can I still, keep my child, engaged in reading and writing and all these things? Yeah, what can we do? Because you don't want to let them, completely just veg out the whole summer and then...
Not all summer.
Yeah. And then, try to get them ready for the next year. So it's just a really good thing to have them prepared for the whole summer. So this article lists 10 ways. And one of those ways is to ignite your child's interest. So one thing is, if you're trying to get your child to read more, start paying attention to what they're interested in. If you find that they're playing video games nonstop, why don't you get a book on programming, perhaps, to get them, interested in that. Yeah, for older kids. Even for some of our younger kids, of course, they have favorite characters, favorite animals, or whatever. You can, steer their reading towards that. So they're not just reading something where they just don't have an interest in at all, as a way to just really keep them engaged in reading, which is so important. Another way is to also make it a family affair. So don't just assume that your kids will be motivated to read all by themselves. Maybe set aside a time as a family, and it's like, this is our reading time. Every evening we all just sit around, we have our own favorite books, and we just read.
Or you can read the same book.
Yeah, or
just read aloud to the family.
Yeah, especially if you have younger kids. Because if you have younger kids that aren't quite reading yet, that's a really good way to still get reading involved. Point out some of the pictures, the words, and all of that. As a really good way to do that. Also, you can what it's called box up boredom. So you can turn some of these books into projects. So a fun way to get them to read and just be creative. They can make a diorama, or use a shadow box or what have you, to just make a cute little project, and it's something that you'll have to remember years down the line. Something fun to do. Also, pick out some awesome authors. Do some research. Find out which authors do you think will really speak to your child, as a way to find the right book for them to read. And also, you can use newspaper novelties. And this one I thought was pretty interesting. It says, reading the newspaper seems like such an adult thing to do, but with a little creativity, it can be a non-threatening experience. If you have younger kids, give your preschooler a crayon and have them circle certain letters in the headlines, such as, find all the A's or the B's or whatever. Yeah. And if they know the entire alphabet, have them circle all 26 letters in order on the newspaper.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and if you have an older child, what you can do is have them cut out 5 unrelated pictures and have them create a story based on those pictures.
I like this idea.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite. That's really, really good. Another way to get them kind of engaged is, if you're on the run, which so many of us are, and the only time that you have to really read is in the car, you can use audiobooks.
Sure.
Yeah. So we could, you can all listen to the audiobook as a family, talk about it, and, have them engaged that way. Let's see, a couple others. Another one is acting adventures. So you can have your child write their own adventure and act it out for you. Great to get their creative juices going as far as writing and things like that. So it's just a really, there's so many things that you can do to get your child involved. The most important thing is making sure that they are practicing those skills that will just help them throughout the summer, and especially preparing for the next year.
And if anybody out there has any other ideas that you can share, we'd love to hear them. And while we're waiting for people to comment, I need to say that B. Hernandez says she wants your tank top.
Oh, it's available in store and online. Yeah. So,
do you ladies, have any ideas or things that you do during the summer to keep your kids active, reading?
Well,
academics, period.
We do a lot of the whole interest reading. So we try to pick out what they're interested in, and then we buy books surrounded by what they're interested in. We're also doing dioramas this summer. So we thought that would be something really fun and cool. And then we said that we'd start hanging them like in their rooms and around the house and stuff like that. So that's what we actually plan to do this summer.
Yeah.
3 of my children are older, and they have required reading for the summer.
Oh,
so
okay.
that kind of helps
too.
a lot.
Yeah,
no choice in the matter. But one of the things that we incorporated last year was a list of things that they could do before they were allowed to just veg out in front of the TV or play video games or something like that. And reading was always at the top of the list. And, they just had to work through it however way they wanted to, but reading was part of it. And they could pick their own book. We could go online and order a book for them, of interest. But that seemed to help them stay sort of on focus. And then it was always interesting at the end of the day, the topic of conversation was usually circled around, this is what I read today.
And
this
Jennifer
is good.
says the Arlington Library has boxes, Read It Again kits. They're awesome. They have lots of fun stuff in them that relate to a particular book or subject that's included in the box.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Arlington Library is always on top of it. I'm sure lots of libraries across the country
Yeah.
have things for kids to do during the summer.
Yeah.
They need But anyway, so just some things to think about for the
Yeah.
summer. We're going to take a break, but before we do, we seem to always start with a real oldie, and I guess that's a nod to Grandma Gone Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, we're going to play the funk classic Knee Deep by Funkadelic, which was released in 1979. That was my first year in high school. The original version was 15 minutes long. We're not going to play that
No.
version. We're going to play the 5-minute version. We'll be back to begin our discussion regarding healthy eating right after this break.
Never listen a beat. Yeah.
Hold on. Do it again.
Can you hear me?
Uh-uh. I thought I did.
She was totally deep when she did the freak with me. Never listen a beat. Yeah. Boy was in need. Yeah. The girl's a freak. The girl never misses a beat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It didn't work, no. It wasn't funky no more.
It's on now.
Round and round, she's the freak of my desire. And when she dances, she set the world on fire. The little girl's the freak of the week. When she dances, she gives me happy feet.
Can you hear me now?
She's the freak
Can you hear
of
me?
my desire.
Can you? I just
When she dances, she sets the world on fire. She gives me happy feet.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Never miss
We're
a
in the
beat. Yeah. Boy, was it neat. Yeah. She was totally deep when she did the freak with me. It didn't work. No. Oh, no, not the most. Monkey wasn't fucking. But she was not just knee deep. She was totally deep when she did the freak with me. Yeah.
Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Catherine Wright of Veggie Dallas and Karen Dotson, the owner of Arlington's Natural Food Market, Farm to Fork. Again, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Now, Catherine is not only my daughter, she is the mom of 4, ages 14, 12, 9, and 6. You can't tell by looking at her that she has kids that old. She says that I know. She says that I started her natural food journey, which this was news to me, but yay! But anyway, she is really into healthy eating, and she is getting closer and closer to being a vegan with each passing day. Yeah. And we also have Karen Dotson here, as I said, who is the owner of Farm to Fork. She is a certified nutritional therapy practitioner, a certified personal trainer, mother of 4, coffee drinker, and she also says she's a Jesus lover. So are we. So yay! So again, welcome, ladies.
Yes.
So we've got so much we want to talk about, but let's just start, Karen, with you. If you could just tell us about Farm to Fork.
Well, Farm to Fork is a natural grocery store found in the middle of Arlington at 2001 West Mayfield Road. We're just kind of a little hidden gem, but we work with a lot of farmers and ranchers that are within 200 miles of our store. So everything is local, as local can be. And our passion is really in connecting people with those particular farmers and ranchers, because we think that there is a big, huge disconnect between knowing what you're putting in your body and knowing where your food comes
There is.
from.
Yeah.
Huge disconnect.
And that is so that's so true. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's one of the things that we've talked about so many times as a family is that we wanted to find local farms to get our produce, to get our meat or whatever from. And so we were so happy when we found you. But we still, it's like, why is it so hard?
Well, I think the biggest battle that we fight is convenience. Everybody wants something immediately, and our world kind of gives it to them. I was actually, this is totally off topic, but I was reading about how to raise teenage boys, because I have several of them in my house.
You said several.
I have a 16-year-old and twin 13-year-olds.
Oh.
And then one who really believes that he's a 10-year-old who believes he's a teenager, but he's not there yet. But they talked about these living in this age of immediacy and how we want things immediately, and we don't want to wait for them. And we just do not have any patience for anything anymore. And that, I think, has been one of the biggest challenges, in that we're losing that connection with not only what's in our food and where it comes from, but how it's supposed to fuel us. And we see food from all different areas as being equal, when farm fresh food is not equal to something through the drive-through.
Yeah.
Right.
Not just talking about physique or anything like that, but talking about true health.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you owned Farm to Fork?
We are a little over 3 years now.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
was it owned by somebody else before, or you started it?
Okay.
It was,
Okay.
and I was actually a consumer.
Oh.
So it was owned by the Grant family, and they've been longtime Arlington residents. Krista Grant started it as a co-op, and when it was a co-op, I used to order online from them, and my delivery was in Mansfield, which is where we live. And so I'd order every 2 weeks and pick up that way. And then she transitioned it to a retail store that had some hours that were, that worked with her schedule at the time. And then kind of when we took over, we made it a 6-day-a-week program. So ideally what we like to think of ourselves as is that kind of permanent staple farmers market where, if you can't get up on a Saturday or Sunday morning, like I can't because I'm at soccer games, then I know that I could at least get into Farm to Fork and get something.
Okay. Now, before we get into the meat of, no pun
I know.
intended, the meat of what we're talking about, I want to give you an opportunity, Catherine, to tell us about Veggie Dallas, your social media pages.
Okay,
Or
so
page. Is it just Instagram?
it's just
or
one page.
Just
yeah,
Instagram?
so it's just Instagram.
Okay.
So I started Veggie Dallas really as Veggie Detroit. So I became vegetarian probably about 5 years ago. Started that transition, and on a quest to try to find all things vegetarian in the Detroit area, which is, of course, maybe a little bit laughable. I started Veggie Detroit. We moved to Dallas about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, so obviously I switched it to Veggie Dallas. And it was really just to more inspire me to continuously finding places that I would be able to eat food, good food, and healthy food.
Right.
And like I said, in the Detroit area, it's very difficult. That is very much an instant gratification type place. So there's fast food everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So being able to find different farmers markets, even in Detroit, and then being able to do it once we moved here has been amazing. So I try to post as often as possible different finds that we find all over Dallas area. We've been to Austin. We found some stuff there. So just try to keep it moving. So other people, of course, if they come, they could be like, oh, she went here. Maybe I should go try it. And, you know, just
Nice.
different places for people to try.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
that's a great resource for people in this area, or even other places, because you
Yeah.
travel, and when you find places, other
Yeah.
and other places you
Yeah.
post.
I've searched that hashtag a few times when I
Yeah.
travel. Real food.
Yeah.
It's such, exactly. Yep.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
and,
It
and
is.
especially when
It
you're
is.
traveling. We had this conversation last week. We
Yeah.
talked about it a little
When
bit
she went
last
to
week.
Arizona.
Yeah, that when you're traveling, it
It's
becomes
really
especially
hard.
difficult to find good food.
Yeah.
And I know when we were talking to Lorena last week, she said that even when she goes to visit somebody else's house or wherever, when she leaves home, she takes food with her
Yeah.
because she knows she's not going to find good food for her kids. So
It's not uncommon, especially if you're dealing with, autoimmune disease or anything like that, where you're really food restricted.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find things you can eat.
Yeah.
So tell us some about your customers and who you cater to. I know that you don't cater. It didn't seem anyway that you cater to any particular type of
No.
person. I mean, not just not
Like
just vegan,
diet-wise,
not just
yeah.
paleo, not keto, but you have something for everybody, which is so
We
great.
try to. We really
Yeah.
do try to. I mean, even the vegans.
Yeah.
We have a lot.
And
of vegans that come
the
in.
raw, the people that eat raw
Yes.
food.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we did
That's how
a
we found
yeah
her.
we did a raw food challenge a couple years ago, and I remember going to your store because you had the raw. I
Those
think it was
wraps,
like the
those
wraps,
coconut
the
wraps.
wraps.
Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
uh-huh.
That's
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember those.
And actually, your store got me hooked on the cereal that I still eat today.
The
It's
homey.
That activated.
it's
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah.
living something, but I eat it every day, and now the kids.
Yeah,
they-
my son loves it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, so
that's
does, and so
awesome.
does my granddaughter. They eat it every single day.
Yeah. So it's a lot of really great stuff in your store. And
Well,
yeah.
Originally, Farm to Fork, when it was a co-op, really started as a meat co-op, and that is the crux of our business. Is there are a lot of people looking for high quality, local, but the grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised, knowing that this animal lived a really great life, kind of thing, and that's certainly what we offer. But we try not to be specific to that.
Right.
So when I came in as a nutritional therapy practitioner, one of my first goals was to try and get food in that I knew I could eat, but that I was having to order online in bulk in some way, and to make it a little bit more convenient for people, but also that was going to be really nutrient dense. So we source our coconut yogurt from California because we agree with how they're making it, and it's really high in probiotics. We source a lot of our fermented vegetables, our fermented products like sauerkraut and kimchi and pickles. We source those from a really great resource in Louisiana, close enough to us as as we can get, that we can find, that is producing it in a way that allows us to then pass it on to the consumer. But that is also, again, the way they're fermenting it lends itself to be more of like a supplement to your healthy diet and lifestyle. And we all know that, a lot of us can agree on that health begins in the gut.
Sure.
The
Yes.
stronger your immune system, the better off you're going to be. So we really try to source things that we know can benefit a lot of different people, but always, always, always looking at what's the best quality out there.
Let's have that conversation about gut health and probiotics and things like that, which this is starting to sound like a giant Farm to Fork commercial. I
You're
know.
mentioning the yogurt that you
But-
bought.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I bought the best yogurt at your store, a few weeks ago. I can't remember the name now. I follow them now on
Coconut yogurt.
Yeah, it was coconut. It was
Yeah.
like a
Coconut
jar.
Cult. It's
Yeah.
Coconut Cult, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
it
you only
was-
have like a tablespoon of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a supplement in a jar, in my opinion, and it's incredibly effective.
It was delicious.
So you're only,
It's
you're
really
only supposed to
good.
have a teaspoon of it?
Yeah,
A
I just
tablespoon.
yeah, I would just
Two
take
tablespoons
I would
is the serving, but you kind of work your way up to the 2 tablespoons if you have more
but
than
it
that.
it was so good. now. It was expensive, so we need
It
to talk about
is.
that part too, because that's the difficulty, especially for families.
Yes.
You know, it's just me. So if I, splurge or spend a little bit more on something like that yogurt, it's just me. But let's talk about, how do you do this for a family when you want to make sure that your family's eating good, clean food? Lauren and I saw a post on
Instagram.
it was on Organic Consumers Instagram page, and it said, it was about meat, and
Yeah.
it said eat less, eat better, or
Yeah.
something like that. So anyway, the point was, it's better to eat less meat
in order
and
to get.
in order to save that money to buy better meat. So you might not have meat every day. Maybe it's every other day, maybe it's once a week, just to make sure that when you do buy meat, you can buy
It's
good
the best,
meat.
yeah.
Yeah, the highest quality possible.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So we are not naive to the fact that when it comes to a price point, farm to fork is certainly higher than your average high-end, larger grocer. With the quality of our meats, it takes longer to raise that animal, and that lends itself to being a little
Oh,
bit.
is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh.
So when you have, say a cow on some grass and then they finish them off in the feedlot, they're getting inexpensive feed to fatten them up. And when you have
So you can
someone
get
on
more
grass-
cows in
you
there.
get more cows in
Yeah.
there. So when you have a grass-fed, grass-finished cow, they're living on pasture their entire life. And it takes longer to get them to a size where you can then
Yeah, because you're
So
not pumping
really
them
that
full of the
makes sense.
hormones
So
to
it's a-
make them bigger.
Exactly.
And
Right.
so it's a
That's
slower
correct.
process.
It's
You're
a
not
lot
moving
slower
them through
process.
like a
So that way
factory.
you don't have the opportunity to make as much money, because the bigger players, they're
It's not about
They
that
just-
with these farmers. It's really about producing a high
Yeah.
and healthy product for somebody. That's
Wow.
really what it comes down to. And that's, if you talk to anybody who's doing this kind of work, any rancher or farmer, they will tell you, our goal is to provide you with something of quality that's beneficial to your body. It's not to become rich on something like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they know they're not. This is a passion for them. So,
It puts
okay,
things into perspective. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. And the other things, while we're on that subject, the other thing is eggs. We bought the best duck eggs.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Remember they were-
they were so
Yes,
big, and then they were
they're
different
huge.
colors.
Yes, the yolk
Yes.
was like an orange
color.
But we loved those. But again, they were so expensive, and it was
You can use fewer duck eggs though because they're so big.
Yeah.
to make
Yeah, but we have
omelet.
there's 16 of us
I
at
was
this
gonna
point.
say, yeah, we have.
Okay, well,
There was 12 back
you know,
then. There's 16 now.
I can totally attest to this because I'm a family of 6.
Okay.
So it's not inexpensive, and I know this. I've priced things out. But yes, to what you're saying about that article, you can eat less meat. I mean, when I talk to clients about nutrition, we're talking about a 40-30-30, and 40% is vegetables. So, and when you're looking at a protein, you're certainly looking at helping the body to detox, because that's what proteins, that's one of the things proteins do, and helping the body to rebuild rebuild muscle and tissue and all those kinds of things. But you can have, a smaller portion of that. And America has decided that we need to have more meat on our plate, and the veggie portion is
Yeah.
this small. And it's a mindset thing. And we, our biggest obstacle, I think, in working in natural food or nutrition or anything like that is there is this mindset that we have grown into where, bigger is better, and the more we have, the better. And we've done the same thing with our lives and
Right.
creating it full of activities and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And we really need to slow down and common sense.
Right.
More
Now,
vegetables.
how have you phased meat out of your family's
So
diet?
we're starting to actually phase meat out now. But I've always been a portion control parent. So I'm not the parent that cooks one chicken breast for each kid. I'm one that's like, really, we can cook 3 chicken breasts for 6 people, because really, and that's even when I ate meat, we don't really need that much meat, right?
We do
Because
the same thing.
yeah, because it's like, do you really need a whole chicken breast?
Right,
Do
right.
you really? So I've always been that very much a portion control person, and I think a lot of people have always looked like that's all you're going to cook. Do they really need this much more? Because I don't like waste, and it's like if it's in my refrigerator, it's going to go to waste. So for right now, we're in the process of phasing out meat in our home, moving them more towards fish only, and phasing out chicken. So right now, we kind of just haven't bought any more. The same with ground. We haven't had pork or ground beef in our house in about 3.5, 4 years. But now we're moving the chicken out of our home and just strictly going to fish. We made enchiladas the other day that were completely vegetarian. We didn't tell the kids anything, and they ate 2 pans of enchiladas and didn't have any idea. So, and they're perfectly fine with it. You know, I think it's like we say, it's a mindset. So, yeah, we're just trying to change their mindset and their thinking.
Well, this is a great place to go ahead and take a short break. So we'll be right back after this song.
Whatever you want, whatever you need, anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. 'Cause I'm every woman, it's all in me. It's all in me.
Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Catherine Wright of Veggie Dallas and Karen Dotson, the owner of Arlington's Natural Food Market, Farm to Fork. Now, where do we leave off with our discussion? I think we were talking about, help me.
Let's start a new. Let's just keep marching forward. We'll go
Okay.
through- since I can't remember either. That's my
Okay.
way of saying I don't remember.
Our memories. Anyway, so how do you differ from a traditional market?
Well, we're small, pretty small, but we're locally focused. I think that traditional markets, traditional grocery stores have very, very small sections to include the ones that are more health-minded focused. They still have very, very small and limited sections when it comes to the variety of cuts of meat that are available. And then we carry a lot more than they do when it comes. So we're more specialty focused, but we carry a lot of the things that people want. So lots of people want grounds. So ground chicken and ground lamb and ground beef and stuff like that. That's extremely popular, and we move a lot of that. So we carry those cuts, but then we also try to carry things like pasture turkeys, which is, that's very hard to find. It's easy to find an organic turkey around Thanksgiving, but it's very hard to find a pasture-raised turkey. And organic is great. We're all for organic, but a lot of that just means that the feed is organic. It doesn't mean that they were raised on pasture. It doesn't mean that they saw sunshine. It doesn't mean that they were outside of a confined space at all. It just means that the feed is organic. So we have this, it's marketing, it's beautiful, it's a wonderful thing, but it's also super tricky, and it lends us to believe that what we see on the television is what we're buying, and it's really not.
So then it sounds like you're really careful about everything that's being sold at Farm to Fork. I mean, is there, when we go there, we can be certain of what? That everything is organic, or even though you said that doesn't really mean anything. And I know that's true because we've been to farmers markets and places like that to buy things, and we'll say, is it organic? And they'll say, it is, but we can't say that because we didn't pay that ridiculous amount of money to be certified as organic. But
there's some truth to that, and that really comes down to knowing the farmer, because it is incredibly expensive to buy the USDA certified organic label, which really doesn't mean a whole lot other than, yes, from how we trace things out, that this was organic. But again, that means that organic soy is still organic soy. It's inexpensive compared to pasture raising an animal. So when you put those kinds of things in your feed mix, you're still getting that in your end product. And we have some customers that are incredibly sensitive to soy regardless, so they can't have that in anything. But I think the most important thing is knowing your farmer. And while Farm to Fork is still the middleman, you have all access to farmers, and that they say, yes, please call us, ask us. We ask them on the phone while they're standing there. We text them. We have been told to share numbers, that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's very, very transparent. And when you're talking to the gentleman at the meat counter at a traditional grocery store, they do not even necessarily know where the meat came from.
Right.
And we can show you on a map.
Yeah.
oh, wow.
Right.
And it's all local here to Texas?
Yes, it is.
No.
Every farmer and rancher that we purchase meat from is within 200 miles of our store.
So then I guess the question is for our viewers, listeners who are all over the country, is there a particular social
Place to
media
go.
site or a telephone number that people can call all over the country to find places like Farm to Fork, or places that they're confident that their food is clean?
Yeah, I like eatwild.com, and that can allow you to look by state for where things are, in your area are located. A lot of it's going to be small co-ops, which is totally, I used to shop at co-ops, don't get me wrong, I love co-ops, but it's a different avenue kind of a thing, because usually you're ordering 2 weeks of supply at a time. And then you wait and you order for 2 more weeks, and so it's usually delivered like that kind of thing. But all of these avenues are great, and all of them support local farmers. And I think that that's really important, because as we're focused more on convenience, we're really cutting them out of this avenue, and it makes me kind of sad because it really does. We focused on this huge monopoly for convenience, and we're, as a consumer, making those choices to shift everything in that direction. And when you do that, you don't have choice anymore.
Right.
And I don't think that we're unusual in that we really want to support smaller businesses.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm
yeah.
sure there are a lot of people that really want to and just don't know how.
Yeah.
Or don't realize that, it's convenient, like you said, to go to Whole Foods or Sprouts or wherever.
Yeah.
Or
But it's-
online.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
online. But how can we plug into local farmers?
Well, this is the best season ever because the farmers markets are all opening, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
that's
really
true.
good opportunity to get in front of the farmer. And my understanding, at most markets, you're dealing with the person who's actually your producer. And
But
I
you know
think
what's
that's
interesting about that
fantastic.
is that the farmers markets, at least the ones here, seem to have more candles.
Yeah,
and
artisan.
crafts.
It's more artisan.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
It's
You can get some
really-
nice soaps.
It's hard, I think, for a farmer to come out of their field or their ranch and be in front of a consumer. And so that was, again, another reason why we feel that we've positioned ourselves well with them is to be this outlet. So it's difficult for them, but there are farmers that are doing that. So if you can, like Capel is a great farmers market in my opinion. It's really good. Dallas is fantastic. Clear Fork is another one. So those are really good avenues to go out and meet farmers. We often have our farmers come in. So on Saturday, we're having Chisholm Trail come in. They're a grass-fed beef company, and he's going to come in and just talk with all of our customers that come in that day. And they're willing to do that. And I think that that's really, helps to make that connection. And when food is so intimate, I think.
It is.
Yes.
It really
very.
is. It's very intimate and emotional, and we attach a lot of it to it, a lot of emotion to it. And as we move towards convenience, we start removing that, and just becomes this thing that fills a void. And it fills an emotional void, and it fills that hunger void. But when you start getting back in touch with your food, and you start cooking again, which I think is a big thing that
It
people
is.
are
It
missing.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that then you really start to reconnect, and it becomes more important.
Agreed.
So here's a good time to switch reels a little bit and talk about the different eating choices. Because when you talked about people being passionate about eating, people are passionate about the way that they
Yes,
eat.
they are.
In my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, in my mind, it's a group of people who eat traditionally. Traditionally meaning they'll just go to any market, get anything.
And then just eat.
Yeah. Not to say that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the way in my mind, that's the way it is. Then there's another group of people that are vegan, vegetarian, keto, paleo,
Organic
organic,
only.
clean,
Yeah.
whatever. Then there's
Right.
that group of people. Now the group of people in that, the people in that group, they tend to be very passionate. Yeah, I mean, and very vocal about their choices, and it can be kind of fierce.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on different pages, depending on what it is. You know, if you eat a way that's different from the page that you're on, then you can brace yourself for a
For a fight.
beatdown.
Yeah.
Because it gets really vicious, which is so crazy to me, because everybody's on a different, even people who eat traditionally, whatever, again, no shade, but if that's the way you want to eat, that's fine. So I just feel like everybody should be able to make their own food choices, and you know, although everybody I'm sure thinks that whatever they decide to do is best. Like, you know, for me, I don't eat red meat, but I eat chicken, I eat poultry, I eat fish. But my focus is really on eating clean. I'm trying my best to eat as much organic, which you said doesn't really mean a whole lot necessarily, but I try to eat clean.
Right.
That's my thing. I'm just trying to cut out processed food, cut out food-like substances, you know, and all that, which is difficult. And, you know, it's especially difficult when you're trying to go out to eat or something. Like, we went out yesterday, and I fell off the
We
wagon.
all did.
Yeah.
We all did.
Because it's difficult. But let's just talk about the different food choices and your journey. What I know that Catherine you're headed toward being full 100% vegan.
Yes.
So what has that journey been like?
Going towards vegan has been a lot more difficult than moving into vegetarian. Moving into vegetarian was easy. I gave up one meat at a time. And then fish, of course, was like that last, trying to hang on for a while. And then I finally just gave that up. But going Oh, going vegan is so difficult. Cheese is so good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's
Because
the
I've
dairy.
never been a milk drinker. Like nowhere in my life have I ever been a milk drinker. I just don't like it.
cheese.
So, but
Yeah.
cheese,
and it's in
there's
so many different things
something
that are so
about
good.
cheese. Yes, like when we went to Chewy's yesterday, like, you know, you can't, it's hard to get away from it. So that's probably
Yeah.
the hardest thing that I'm transitioning with right now is
Mm-hmm.
probably the cheese. But I did find, I was telling them, I love Mexican food. Love
Yeah.
it.
Me
Like,
too.
love it. And
And you live in Texas.
exactly.
It's everywhere.
Right? And it's everywhere. So, I mean, luckily, it's great. I have amazing coworkers who get tacos, like breakfast tacos all the time, but they'll only get me, like, potato, like, tacos with, like, all the rest of the fixings on it. So it's like, oh, well, thank you for thinking of me. And then my husband found that amazing vegan restaurant, Mexican restaurant in Dallas that was, oh, my goodness, they had the best nachos, the best everything. So it's like I could still find things, but trying to just make sure that I'm making that conscious decision. But it has been difficult, but, you know, we're halfway through the year, so I'm getting there. Yeah.
One step at a
Yeah,
time.
one step at a time.
And what about you, Karen?
Well, the nutrition hat goes on when this question comes up, and that's because I always try to focus on, it's a big word in the nutrition world, which is bioindividuality.
Okay.
Meaning that everybody's different, and everything for everybody is going to work differently for your body. So finding what's going to work for you and sticking that to that plan is probably the best thing you could do to help yourself be healthy. So if veganism makes you feel amazing and you love everything about it, then stick to it.
Right.
But if paleo, and by paleo, I'm not talking about loads of meat. Like, to be
Yeah.
clear on that.
Yeah.
There are
Right.
a lot of veggies in paleo, and
Right.
people should
Yeah.
really
Right.
focus more on that. But if, you know, eating clean and eating paleo makes you feel good, then by all means, go that route. If you know that protein makes you feel better. So for me, a higher protein diet, I feel better. I have less inflammation, and I just naturally feel better.
Right.
And so I know that I could never go vegan because for me it doesn't work that way. And I think that, you know, people need to stay focused on you do you kind of thing with this thing, and not be so critical.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my approach to it.
And it's interesting that you say that because it really is individual. Because
Yeah.
as I get older,
And
I
your
find
body
it-
changes.
yeah, and
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like impossible to lose weight at this point.
Oh.
But in January, I did keto for a month, and I had the most success on that. But it's hard to do that long term. So after that month,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, I can't do
Eat all
this
this
long
meat.
term.
Yeah.
I
No,
get
it
that
wasn't. It
question
wasn't
a
the
lot.
meat. It was just so much I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat
Bananas.
To
I
stay
couldn't
in
eat bananas. I
ketosis
couldn't-
is really a
Oh my
challenge for
gosh.
some people to stay in
yeah,
ketosis.
I mean, I couldn't eat many fruits.
I've always said that for me personally, I really think keto is great therapeutically. I think it's beneficial to help you really lower inflammation when you really need to get it down. And I know that this will ruffle some serious nutrition friends' feathers, but I just don't think that it's great for long-term
No, that's why I said
don't think
I
so
did it. I did it for a
either.
month, but I could not go. Like I said, I mean, I couldn't eat a
And
banana.
when you bounce out of keto, it's then hard to get back in. Like you have to start over.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's a challenging lifestyle. I think when you're social and you have family
Yeah.
and you do get-togethers and so much can happen when you're so focused on your diet that you become so food restricted that you lose part of what we do around food, and that's gathering.
Yeah,
And
it was difficult.
That's hard.
Like I said, I got my most success.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of weight loss, but the rest of it, it's like I cannot do this.
The idea is to then maintain that for a while,
Right.
Yeah.
and then do keto again just for a little while and get more success and then maintain it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I've got to switch it up some.
Yeah.
And then Lauren had to do paleo.
Yeah.
when you were,
Yeah, I had to do paleo when I was breastfeeding my son because he was having a reaction to the dairy that I was eating and soy and wheat and a long list of things. And paleo fit the best with what I needed to cut out of my diet. So I followed that, no sugar or anything like that either. And I followed that for several months. And I liked it. You know, I think it went well.
cleared up his skin.
Yeah, it cleared up his skin. It went well for our family. But then, you know, he got a little older and I had to actually make food for him. And so paleo went kind of out of the window, and now I'm just trying to make it.
Parenting is hard.
Yeah, he's a carnivore, so
Yeah.
paleo doesn't really.
I had to go on a restricted diet with my youngest when he was born because there were all kinds of digestive things going on. And I saw so many different pediatricians giving me directions on what to do and what not to do. And the one thing I did not pull out of my diet was grains. They said, pull out chocolate, pull out dairy, pull out eggs. And I did all that. I gave up cheese for this kid.
That's some
love.
serious
Some
love.
serious love right there.
Yeah, I
there.
gave up sugar, and I was like, I
Now
don't.
that was love.
Yeah.
But they never told me to pull out grains.
Huh.
And it turned out grains was the biggest
yeah.
problem.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I actually did what's called a Zytoscan. So that's
Yeah.
how I found out. I mean, that's how I got the long list of everything.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's how I found out. And, you know, it went really well. But like I said, we're trying to get back into paleo now. But it's a hard process.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Paleo
Yeah.
means you got to cook. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to have to take another short break here. But before we do, we'd like to give a shout out to Birth Texas. Birth Texas is a 501c3 nonprofit organization empowering expecting moms and birth workers through education and community events. Join them on July 21st right here at the Arlington Convention Center as they welcome Shafia Monroe for a fun-filled event on childbirth and parenting. Check out their Facebook group for more information or visit birthtexas.org to access their online guide of evidence-based birth providers and childbirth and parenting events throughout the Metroplex. Empower yourself with Birth Texas. Shout out also to Sky's the Limit Communications. Sky's the Limit Communications is a public relations firm dedicated to serving the healthcare industry. From large medical centers to small community hospitals, they provide the strategic counsel and effective tactics needed to engage your stakeholders, inspire their support, and maintain their loyalty. They partner with you to advance greater access to high-quality, affordable healthcare for all people. Find them on the internet at skyisthelimitpr.com. Thank you also to Simple Equation. Simple Equation is dedicated to fostering healthy communities through personal development to restore safe homes, schools, streets, and workplaces. You can find Simple Equation at simpleequation.com. And now we will take that break, and we will be right back with Catherine Wright and Karen Dotson in about 7 minutes.
What's up, everyone? This is Soup the Poet.
And the lovely Lola.
Why don't you catch our show
Vibing with Soup and Lola.
every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in the Green Bowl?
On Vibing with Soup and Lola, you'll hear the hits from the 90s and before, news, events, and the hottest Let's Talk About It topics.
You'll hear the freshest, motivating, in-your-face poetry from yours truly, and also featuring some of the hottest poets from Houston and far beyond.
And so much more fun. Tune in every Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in the Green Bowl. Tune in.
Jump in. When it's time to advertise your company, business, product, service, think fishbowlradio.com. The largest personality-driven internet radio network in the world, operating 24/7 with over 100 diverse shows, music, talk, news, inspirational, sports, entertainment, 750,000 listeners a month and growing, local, national, global. Now is the time to take advantage of the growth potential of internet radio advertising with fishbowlradio.com. Call 817-633-4880 and jump in.
Candy Yam's Kitchen, food you can feel. You can experience Southern and Creole classics from down-home gumbo, upscale shrimp and grits, and mouth-watering desserts. From specialty pound cakes, pies, decadent peach cobbler, and an unforgettable banana pudding. Whether large or small, Candy Yam's Kitchen has everything to give your event a taste your guests will remember. Savory Southern cuisine, bold New Orleans flavors, united with an all-star presentation. You can be assured that you will be the talk of the town after booking them for your next party. You can reach us at 469-450-0027 or follow our journey on Facebook and Instagram at Candy Yam's Kitchen. That's KANDIYAMZ Kitchen. Again, give us a call at 469-450-0027 or like our Facebook and Instagram page at Candy Yam's Kitchen, spelled KANDIYAMZ Kitchen. Candy Yam's Kitchen, food you can feel.
Introducing the Ferrero Rocher cupcakes loaded with luscious layers of sweet goodness coated over dark chocolate cake made with the freshest and finest ingredients to make you say, holy cupcake. Voted top 3 cupcakes in the DFW area. Wondering where you can get these sweet chocolatey goodies? Where else but Le Cupcake and Treats? Call us now, 682-999-8276. That's 682-999-8276. Or visit us on our Facebook and Instagram at Le Cupcake and Treats, where we make life sweeter.
Congratulations from Velvet Oasis Events, wedding and event planning. What a great time for us to get acquainted and determine what style, design, and package will work for your upcoming wedding, gala, social, or anniversary event. We specialize in helping people have a better event experience. Velvet Oasis Events customize your event design with your vision in mind. From beginning to end, we're there to assist. So for that wow experience you won't forget, remember Velvet Oasis Events. To get more details, go to velvetoasisevent.com, velvetoasisevent.com, or call 817-500-1579, 817-500-1579.
FBRN.US. Fishbowl Radio Network. Jump in.
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight. Hunt you down, eat you alive. Just like animals, animals, like animals, moles. Maybe you think that you can hide. I can smell yourself for miles. Just like animals, animals, like animals, moles. Baby, I'm. So what you trying to do to me? It's like we can't stop, we're enemies. But we get along when I'm inside you. You
Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Catherine Wright of Veggie Dallas and Karen Dotson, the owner of Arlington's Natural Food Market, Farm to Fork. So we will continue our discussion. We have gotten into so many different topics, and we're going to take a jump since we never can remember where we left off anyway. Because I want to talk a little bit about bees, honey. I gave up sugar over a year ago now. In February of last year, I gave up sugar completely, cold turkey. Done. I can name each time I've had sugar since then. So it wasn't difficult, but I've substituted that mostly with dates. I make a paste out of medjool dates for the most part, but I also use honey. I try not to use honey as much, but I do. But I try to buy. Well, I always do buy local honey. And I know that there is a crisis with the bees. Crisis, yeah. There's a bee crisis. I know that. But I don't really know a lot of details about it. And I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you beforehand we were going to talk about bees. But
yeah. Well, I mean, there is a crisis in that we're basically killing them off. I mean, there are different camps about why it's all happening. And a lot of, one of the biggest camps is that you can trace it back to glyphosate and the big use of pesticides and things like that.
Can you explain what that is? I literally just read about, I can't even pronounce it, but glyphosate. I just read about that today. What is it?
You were reading about
Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah. That they were no longer using products that use...
No, that it... Can you say it again?
They are using
Glyphosate. That it's in the ice cream, but they were telling the consumer that, it's at a level that's not harmful, but it actually is harmful.
Okay,
so,
I didn't read that.
Yeah, it actually just came out, it was on the 16th of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So glyphosate is basically a pesticide in, Roundup, what you would use to, weeds in between the cracks of your driveway kind of thing. Like most people would use it for something like that. But it's it's made by Monsanto, and on a larger scale, it's used on crops to help keep weeds out. And then there's also the genetically modified seeds that are being used, which means that it has glyphosate woven into the DNA of the seed so that it can help to be weed resistant while it's growing. So the idea behind it is that we're feeding more people because we can grow more with less stress. We're losing less to the weeds kind of thing. So there's a camp that says that, glyphosate is the biggest problem that we have for bees. We're certainly not helping ourselves during swarming season when we spray them with bee killer and we kill them, when really they're just trying to establish a new home. So calling a beekeeper out to move them, especially...
would be a better option.
Yeah, absolutely a better option. But pollination is really important to our food supply. And so we have a very small garden at Farm to Fork, and there are some things that most people would drive by and be like, what are they growing? But we partnered with Squishy Squash, Edible Landscapes, because they would put plants in there that would bloom so that the bees would come, because it helped to pollinate the vegetables and the fruits that we're growing. So we planted strawberries last year, and this year they came back 3 times as big.
I didn't know you grew fruits and vegetables there.
We do. We don't really grow enough to be able to to sell or share with anybody. I mean, I'd love to have something that we could just say, come use this as a resource and pick your fruits and vegetables. But we really don't have that large of a space to be able to do that. But Squishy Squash were doing gardening classes and things like that to kind of help encourage people to do this on their own. So when we talk about dollars and cents with big families and things like that, growing your own vegetables and your own fruits,
we've tried.
Okay, so
this is what you need. You need Squishy Squash.
That's why I'm so
we've tried.
I've tried. And
back
it's hard.
over with my wheels turning, where could we landscape and use Squishy Squash to finally actually grow some vegetables? Because ours were
our hearts were in the right place.
Yeah,
we wanted to grow our own fruits and vegetables, but there was not one green thumb in the entire family.
No,
not one.
I'm no pro by any means, which is why when Emily came to me, I said, hey, I think I can help you with that. Like, why don't you put up a garden here? Because I really can't do it at my house. But she was going into people's homes and helping them.
So does Squishy, do they maintain it for you? Do they assist you in maintaining that?
They do on a certain level. Like, they have customers here in Arlington where they come back seasonally, but they do a lot of online stuff to help you maintain it. They set up a watering schedule. Well, they set up a watering schedule and stuff like that. But my understanding is a lot of it comes back down to the soil and the quality of nutrients in your soil. So when we start talking about organic, and we've opened up Pandora's box here. But when we start talking about organic and we start talking about nutrient dense and things like that, we have to take a look at the soil, because this is where all the vegetables are growing from. So if you're wanting all those vitamins and minerals and everything like that in there, your soil has to be rich with that. And when we are feeding the world and we're not doing crop rotation and things like that, we're depleting the soil of these nutrients, and you can't add it back tenfold to get you to where you used to be. A lot of our farmers do a lot of rotational grazing and stuff like that, and that helps to replenish the soil. And then they say, okay, well, we're going to, plow that and we'll grow something over there because we've had cows or sheep or whatever on it, and they've taken care of adding back nutrients, which is what they're supposed to do. And then they move the cattle somewhere else. And that's just a different way of farming, but it's beneficial to vegetables, fruits, the animals.
But much slower, which is,
slower. This is a slow food movement. We're not fast.
Wow, that's really something. They just came out with the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, just a couple weeks ago or whatever, and I'm looking at that thinking, I think strawberries, did I say that was number one? I can't remember, but
it's always number one.
Yeah, which is so hard because, you go to the grocery store and they have, specials on strawberries and blueberries, and you're like, oh, but it looks so good, but I mean, it's that's really hard.
And I'm really at a place where I'd rather not eat it. I just skip it. Okay, I guess I can't have strawberries, but we had strawberries a couple weeks ago. We did brunch, and we had strawberries and blueberries, and it's like, okay, I feel good. At least the organic label was on the package. Now, whether it was really organic or,
We always just say pray over it and let's eat.
We do that a lot, too.
But it's so sad, though, because we're eating so much poison. And that's what I say all the time. We're eating poison.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a group, I mean, like we keep saying, it's a lot of us, 16 of us. So if we're trying to feed a group of 16,
it becomes expensive.
We're not going to Whole
You got to have a yard sale
Sprouts.
first.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody pitching in.
It's just sad. It's just really sad. And then you feel bad because you're thinking, oh, we're eating crap.
Especially when it comes to our kids, you know, that's where it's hardest for me, which is, the motivational factor, because, for myself, it's kind of like, I really want to try, but it's like, man, I don't want to feed my son, that I don't want to affect his health in that way. I mean, you shouldn't have that conflict with food of like, okay, is this going to cause you to have, some
adds stress.
It adds
stress.
Yeah.
I think that in respect of the body, I think that you have to remember that we are designed in a really amazing and incredible way. And I like to say fearfully and wonderfully made. And we are designed to detox. And when you're healthy, when you're already healthy, then events like that where you're maybe not being 100% perfect or what you normally would eat in your own home, you have to understand that your body's going to do what it was designed to do, because it's about getting a second chance every single day. And so when that happens, that's kind of the same thing as pray over it and move on. Right. It's kind of the same thing. You just respect how the body works. And I think that some of our customers have come to us really, really broken, physically, emotionally, just mentally spent on trying to fix themselves. And diet seems to be like one of the last things people really want to address, because it means a committed lifestyle change when you start addressing your diet. When you can...
And letting go of convenience, letting go of just like, I'll just go to this place and pick up something really fast.
But when you have that connection, when you make that mental connection with what I put in my body, what I put on my body has a great impact on how my body functions. And right now I'm so broken that I go back to basics. So and I mentioned earlier, like a 40-30-30. So more vegetables than you would, and as clean as possible, and go back to eating clean proteins and really good quality fats. And people, they want to push that off to the side and go fat free or whatever. At least I grew up in the fat free era.
Yeah.
But it really is about balance, and it really comes down to moderation. But when we've had customers come in who are just completely like, this is it, like this is what I have to do, I have no other choice. And we're like, okay, well, let us help you through it and walk you through how to do this, because food should still taste good, even if this is your last resort, kind of a thing. But once they start pulling out some of the stuff that they've been eating, especially limiting sugar, processed sugar, it really brings them to a point where they're like, oh my gosh, my body is doing what it's supposed to do, and I can trust it again, and I can trust that what I put into it is going to make me feel good, because there's a lot of distrust that happens when you aren't feeling well. You're fighting that battle with your body every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny you said what we put in and on our bodies, because a few years ago, we all, as a family, kind of decided, okay, we're going to make our own,
everything.
Lip balm, shampoo, conditioner,
face wash,
that's
lotion,
a lot of work.
toothpaste.
Insect repellents.
Yeah. What would we always say?
sunscreens.
It was funny because my mom has a what do you call it, of her
essential oils.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the witch doctor. It was like, what do you?
She's like, okay, all the A's
She
are
would just
here,
come
all the
out
T's
with
are
all
here,
like
so
all her
bring her
essential
whole little
oils.
bin.
They had it alphabetized.
And cook something up. Like she would just make the sunscreen for all the kids, and it was really great. And it was.
But isn't that empowering?
Yeah,
it is.
And it's important. And it's important for the kids. For me, I feel it's important for the kids to see, because, like, I still use essential oils every day in my home. So, I think it's really important for them to know what are better things to fix them versus just general medicines.
And it's so interesting because now we think about natural remedies first. That's our first.
It's because
thought.
it's almost like you have this epiphany, and it's like, okay, this is going to sound really not controversial, conspiracy, I guess. But it's like the government really doesn't care about you at all.
They
don't care what you're eating. They don't care what you brush your teeth with, what you, lotions, perfumes, nail polish, makeup.
I think Crest has sugar in it.
Yeah, it does.
Because I switched my toothpaste, and now I can't even use Crest because I'm like, am I eating sugar?
There's so many things, and it's like, okay, once you start cutting out those things, you start seeing a real difference. Food is a challenge for me, but the rest of it isn't. I was able to switch my toothpaste, deodorant. I don't really wear makeup at all. Same with nail polish. I was able to cut out.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's just really scary, you really stop to think about, like, wow, we're just surrounded with poison.
Your skin is your largest organ, and it still absorbs, and breathes. You want it to breathe,
right?
If you put stuff on it that prohibits that, it's kind of a hard thing for it to do.
Yeah, and even cleaning products. I went through the house and just started throwing things away.
That's the other thing that you would make is the dishwashing detergent. That's why we call her the witch doctor.
And the laundry detergent.
Brewing stuff in the kitchen.
But you said it is empowering, but you feel it removes the guilt.
Yeah.
Because we know this stuff is poison.
This is true. This is true. I think that, I agree with you. The government has no vested interest in us being healthy at all. That's just,
quite the contrary.
And, but simultaneously, I feel like we're in this position right now where we're really kind of teaching our kids, like you said. And so I didn't know any better. I was taken to the doctor a lot because I was a military kid and we had access, and so we went. Now, we didn't do a whole lot of medication, but if we, needed to go get looked at, we would. But medication in and of itself has become the go-to. And we often hit panic attacks, and media is really great at pushing that button and making us very, very fearful. And we weren't called to live that way as parents. And so I think we're, when you're teaching your kids that let's take a step back and look at the whole picture first, and then let's see what we can do. Let's, not just panic about the fever, but let's see, if your kid's playing with a fever and they're still playing, then all is good. If they're lethargic, then yes, by all means. But let's put some common sense, if you will, into this and say, hey, I was equipped to take care of this child, and yes, medicine has its place, but it has its place.
So one thing I did, well, of course I have kids that are, and you do too, that are going through puberty, right? So, you know, we think of my oldest daughter, obviously, is really try to have her watch her diet. Started monitoring kind of how she acts and what she's eating the week before she starts her cycle, the week she's on her cycle. She started off her period just having horrible cramps, which is the way I was. And I was like, oh no, like I've cursed my child too. Like, but we've changed her diet to where she really limits things like dairy and more hormonal foods the week before. She hasn't had cramps since then. She does not complain about them at all. Her acne has gone down a lot. So I'm like, that's something that just triggers you. I'm like, you just have to find what works for you.
But now she's empowered to go on and be an adult and
know
know that she can make changes on her own even, or even
Mm-hmm.
experiment. And I don't think, I don't think very many people think that way.
Right.
They think, okay, Advil,
exactly. Because she was quick to always be like, "Can I just have some Motrin? What did you eat today?" You know, and it's like I'm always trying to just consciously give her other things that she should be thinking about. You know, because she does. She has to take these things with her forever.
Yeah,
so
exactly. We are raising adults. We're parenting children, but we're raising adults.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yeah, very much so.
They have to be empowered to make decisions.
So are you politically active at all? We were talking about, you know, farmers and helping them, and we were talking about the bees and all these things that some politicians somewhere should be working on. I know they aren't, but maybe a couple, but.
Politically active. Well,
are you advocating publicly, or?
I do advocate for the accessibility of clean, healthy foods, and we do participate with the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. We contribute to that annually. But you know, I believe in like the accessibility to raw milk. I think is important.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know there's a lot of controversy with raw milk, and that in certain instances, for example, I watched the documentary Rotten on Netflix. Have you seen that?
Parts of it.
Okay. Did you watch the dairy episode?
I think I missed that one. No, I didn't see that one.
There were a couple kids on there who had gotten very, very sick from consuming the raw milk. Apparently, they all got it from one farmer, and there was something wrong with his milk, with the raw milk. And I think he knew about it, but still pushed it out or something like that. But the bottom line of the documentary was, don't drink raw milk.
Okay, maybe I did see that one. Yeah, I disagree with that. We're in an E. coli crisis with, I mean, lettuce is unhealthy for you right now. So on a large scale, let's really take a look at how many people we're reaching with that. And that's not to say that that farmer did everything right, because obviously if he knew that there was something wrong with his milk and he was still selling it, that comes back to the farmer.
Right.
It doesn't come back to the raw milk industry as a whole. We buy raw milk. We cannot retail raw milk. In Texas, you cannot retail raw milk. So there is no, let me clarify. We do not have raw milk at Farm to Fork.
Okay.
Because we cannot sell that. We do work with the next best thing, and we work with milking milk, which is grass-fed cows, cows that are on pasture. And it's low heat pasteurized, non-homogenized. So the benefits to raw milk are that it retains its digestive enzymes. So people who are lactose intolerant, maybe they're really lacking the digestive enzymes that are required to break down the lactose. So it still retains that. It still retains beneficial probiotics and things like that. It still has the fat mixed in with it, and actually you have to shake up your jug of raw milk.
I actually bought that milk from Farm to Fork for my granddaughter. She loves milk.
Yeah. So, you know, having the cream on the top still retains a lot of really good fat-soluble vitamins and things like that your body
Which reminds
needs.
me of actually breast milk. When you pump and you have it in your refrigerator and you look at it and you can see.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan of raw milk. In California, you can buy it retail.
Yeah, it was in California that this was happening. Yeah.
So, but we don't sell it at the store. We can't sell it at the store legally. We have people asking us for it all the time, and we're like, well, you'll need to find like a co-op or go to the farm, because in the state of Texas, you have to go to the farm to pick up raw milk if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And some of them, it's nostalgia. Like they remember it as a kid. I mean, I remember my grandmother lived in El Paso, and we used to have milk when I was 4 years old delivered to the front porch.
Oh yeah. Oh,
In glass bottles.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that was kind of, and that's actually, I hear, is coming back in certain areas of the country.
Jennifer says things are best in their natural state most of the time.
That's
So
true.
that-
Yeah, I think with the whole raw milk thing, especially in that documentary, is that people, they associate all the sickness and things that were happening back a long time ago with milk and how people were getting sick. And I think it was mainly because of hygiene and not really the milk
Yes, that's
itself.
correct.
So they were kind of connecting the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, people, like, it's more hygienic now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So farmers are, they're still held to high standards. I mean, they get inspected as well.
So if somebody is interested in getting raw milk, you said they have to go directly to the farm to get it.
Yeah.
How can people find a farm if they're interested in purchasing raw milk?
Oh, I think Eat Wild would still be able
Okay.
to
Okay.
show you that.
Oh, we need to check that out.
Yeah, we do.
But not all, it's not legal in all states, so not all states have it. So, like, I'm fairly certain that you cannot get it in Louisiana. But in the state of Texas, you can, and you just my thing about it is this is where it comes down to know your farmer. Really, really know your farmer. Go up there and watch how they process it, because if your farmer is on the up and up, they're going to show you everything. They're going to talk to you about everything. They're going to talk to you about their animals. They're going to talk to you about the feed. They're going to show you how they milk the cows and what they do with it, and where the milk goes. I mean, it's an educational thing for you, so that you feel good about what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of benefits to raw milk, but if you're not working with a reputable farmer who believes, is doing the right things, then there can be some downturns.
That's something we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
We actually went, we sell goat's milk,
Soap.
and baby balm at Crunchy Boutique. And we went to visit, in fact, exactly a year ago. Because it came up on our time hop today. So we went there a year ago with the kids. We had a little field trip. It was in Rising Star, Texas. We
Yeah.
was like
Okay.
2
Yeah.
hours away.
Yeah.
But it was just fascinating.
Yeah.
They gave us, eggs. In fact, I think the kids picked up their own eggs. And we took
Yeah,
home.
and they picked berries to let us have. It was not a weird experience. It was a unique experience being that close to a food source.
Yes.
But
like
we
that.
felt so good
Yeah.
that the kids got to experience that.
Yes.
Well, it was good for us too, because
Yeah.
that's not an everyday
It
experience.
doesn't just come off the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, even at
exactly.
Farm to Fork, it comes off the shelf. So,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
really important. I used to take my son to the farms as well, and they loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We met the goats that gave up the milk
Yeah.
for the summer. They had a bunch of cows and
Chickens
It was
and,
just
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It really was, and I think it sounds to me, it may be a slow process, but it sounds like we're getting back to that. The people who are interested in eating healthy, eating clean, or whatever it is, we're kind of going back to, okay, we need to. That's why so many people are talking about homesteading. It's like I need my own little space to grow my own.
My sister and my brother-in-law just sold their house in Houston, and they're moving to a homestead. They're going to be homestead. Yeah.
Where? Here in Texas?
Yes, actually, yes. It's in between Austin and Waco. Kind of area. I can't remember the name of it, but they don't have a house yet. So.
We fantasize about that as a family.
Yeah.
If we could all get a little something. We just get a big piece of land and we'll figure it out.
Some houses on it.
Compound.
Yeah.
Take care
Just
of each
because-
other. Well, I mean, families used to live that way.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah, but just the whole food thing, it just becomes so important in our lives, and just being so concerned about just the poison that we're eating and just all that. It's like we need to take matters into our own hands. and make sure
Yeah.
we're
We
eating
look
right.
at the rates of cancer going up. Autoimmune disease is on the rise.
And diabetes as well.
Yeah, type 2 diabetes is certainly going up as well. And I think it's you have to find a common denominator, and one of them is going to be food, and the other is going to be environment. And so you guys have cleaned out your houses from toxic chemicals and all toxic personal care products and stuff like that. And so I think we need to understand that we have choices.
Yeah.
You have a choice to expose yourself to toxins, and you have a choice to limit that. And then you have things that you have no choice. Like you go outside and you're going to be exposed to toxins.
Right.
So those are the things you have no control over.
Right.
But the things that you can control, you probably should. Just because
because we're exposed to so many
Yeah.
things that we don't
So
have control
many
over.
Right.
things, and the liver in the body is just as important as the brain. Like,
Right.
they
Right.
have to both be viable.
Right, right. Wow, that's something. Well, we're going to take a break. We need to take a break now, and we will be back with Catherine Wright and Karen Dotson right after this break.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the way we rock it, so don't stop. It's under the lights when everything goes. Nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything goes. Nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Can't stop the feeling. So keep dancing. Oh. Yeah, yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Everybody say. Can't stop the feeling. Got this feeling in my
We should record. You got that? I need to sample this audio. Hey, can I hear that one more time? One more time. One more time. One more time. Please. One more time. One more time. One more time. Let me see if I can start on beat. One more time.
Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Catherine Wright of Veggie Dallas and Karen Dotson, the owner of Arlington's Natural Food Market, Farm to Fork. And this time period is gone by so fast, and I feel like we haven't talked about many of the things that I really wanted to, but we're going to take another turn because we mentioned gut health a little bit a little while ago, and I really want to talk about that some more. Exactly what that is. It sounds like that's kind of a catchphrase that came out of nowhere. And I know people don't really understand what it is and why it's important and what we can do to improve our gut health and that kind of thing. So let's just talk about that for a second. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. I think gut health is certainly a buzzword now. And it's something that is certainly being studied more than it has been in a really long time. But there is a true connection between your health and your gut because about 80% of your immune system resides in your gut. And we do a terrible job at making food choices, healthy food choices all the time. And I'm not immune to making poor food choices. I mean, we all do. We all do. And then we do a really bad job at digesting. And we were just talking about this, but you get so used to feeling a certain way that you don't realize that your poor digestion is really, like, you shouldn't feel that way. You're used to popping Tums, or you're used to taking, antacids and things like that. And really, your stomach acid should be very acidic because it's meant to break down proteins.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So when you shut off that opportunity for it to do that, then you don't digest your food, and it has to move on at some point in time. And when it does, then it damages the microvilli in the gut, which is where a lot of your immune system is, and it damages the lining of the gut, which then you get, things can leak through the gut lining into your bloodstream, and then you get leaky gut. And so this isn't anything really new. It's really rather old science, but we've sort of pushed it to the side on dealing with the body holistically. And we've just been doing medication so that we don't have acid reflux. I mean, you definitely do not want acid up in your esophagus. It doesn't have the mucosal lining up like your stomach does to protect it. And that's certainly not where you want it to be. But throwing antacids at it isn't necessarily the solution so much as, why is your stomach acid coming up to your esophagus? Let's deal with that. And then when you talk about, undigested food moving on, and we're all moms, so we've changed diapers. We know when our kids are digesting and when they're not.
Right. Yeah, we do.
And then, you can tell it yourself, as well, what's going on. So, and everybody should look, by the way. You should just look.
I do.
I do. I call my husband over, like, look at this.
Everybody should
the whole
look.
corn in here.
So when you couple poor digestion, you automatically get an immune system that's not really, really healthy, and your gut is thrown off. So ways to improve it are certainly let's talk about this. I mean, we get back to, sit down and chew your food. Don't eat on the go. Don't eat in your car. It's a lifestyle thing, but get back to the table with your family. Pray over your food because it mentally sets your body in a position to digest. Two other words: sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic is active, moving, constantly going, and this includes your brain constantly moving. You have to move into a parasympathetic state for your body to digest. And if you're working and eating at the same time, your body's not transitioning. But sitting down and giving thanks, that actually helps to mentally switch the transition and make that mental switch.
Interesting.
I always eat on the go, so that's
It's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is everybody's like, I don't know how I got this way. Well, it wasn't because you did something yesterday. It was because this is how you've lived your lifestyle. So you're gonna have to change your lifestyle.
And I think that was me. That's how I ended up transitioning, was my gut health. I started noticing that my gut health was just off. Like, I wasn't
really bloated and things like that.
Sorry, Facebook, but I wasn't using the bathroom on a regular basis.
She whispers like we don't go to the bathroom.
I wasn't using the bathroom on a regular basis. It was bad. Like, I could go like a week.
Oh, that is bad.
A week, and I was bloated all the time.
And you think about your body recirculating toxins. This is your elimination system. That's how it works.
And I was not eliminating anything. So, and it was really creating a problem. And so I started keeping a food journal of everything I was eating, because I'm just like, there's something isn't right. Like, even though I'm eating fruits and vegetables, something is still not moving this stuff through my body. And I'm like, okay, I'm drinking water, still not working. So that's when I kind of transitioned to moving certain meats out of my diet, and then that helped. And then it's like one after another just continued to help, to where it was like, oh, becoming more of a regular process here. I don't know if I really like that, because I'm so used to being one way, but that's what ultimately helped me, or moved me into transitioning into a vegetarian lifestyle, and is now kind of moving me into the other way. I've done a lot of the sauerkrauts and all that kind of stuff, and of course, my mom knows I'm addicted to kombucha, but that's just because I don't do dairy. But I think gut health is extremely important, and I try to, I always talk about my kids, but I try to ask them the same exact questions, like, when's the last time you went to the bathroom? You're not feeling good today. When's the last time you went to the bathroom?
We ask the same question.
Yeah, because I think it's important for them to understand that that's also something that's important. Like, you have to be continuously turning over whatever it is that you're eating. So,
So how is it that fermented foods and apple cider vinegar and kombucha and all that, how do those things help?
Well, when I have a client who's struggling to digest, I often tell, before we jump to anything hardcore, I'm like, well, first and foremost, sit down and eat and make sure that you're really chewing your food. My kids are the worst. 2 bites and they swallow it. And it's not chew so you don't choke. It's actually chew so it's easier for your body to break it down.
Yeah,
That's it.
Totally different
That's a good
Such a
way to say
struggle.
it.
But I'll tell them to take a little apple cider vinegar because it adds to the acidity of your stomach and being able to break down those proteins, which are harder to break down. They're easier if you chew them, but they're harder to break down. And then ferments, they're just rich in probiotics, and there's lots of things that you can change. We just have to change. You have to change your palate at the same time, and I think that's really hard for some people. So fermented pickles, like we carry the Cultured Guru at our store, but then there's also like the Bubby's brand, which is I think is a great brand, but the taste is different than Vlasic pickles. It's because it's real brine in there. It's not chemicals. Pickles aren't really meant to be neon yellow.
Those are my favorite kind of pickles.
And it's funny because she said the way that you know the kind of pickle that I like is because it's neon green.
I said it has to be radioactive. That's the kind of pickle that I like.
We just had this conversation. That's hilarious.
I think so. You have to figure out the balance. You almost have to approach your change if you're an adult in the same way that you introduce foods to your kids. Very slowly. You can't just say, I'm going to be paleo tomorrow, or I'm going to be vegan tomorrow, or
you have to
vegetarian.
see what really works.
You really have to take this time and document it. I mean, this is a journey with your body. Take your time to figure it out. But adding in beneficial kombucha is the gateway for most people, just because it's tasty.
Yeah.
It really is. And there are a lot of really good brands out there that know how to ferment and double ferment so that the juices are just the right, not too acidic with the vinegar. Thank you. Not too acidic with the vinegar flavor, but there's a good balance there.
Now, the interesting thing that we found out when you were pregnant with August about kombucha.
No, right after I had August.
Was it right after you had it?
Yeah, because my pediatrician, she's a holistic pediatrician, so she wanted me to give a probiotic to August, but she also wanted me to start taking one as well. So I thought, my sister drinks kombucha, and I know that's a probiotic, so I'll try it. So I started drinking it, and I'm like, why do I feel a buzz?
She said, why do I feel like I can't drive right now?
I was like, oh my gosh. I started researching, and I'm like, this is alcohol in here.
You're a little tipsy.
A little bit.
It's a little bit.
But I don't drink, like that anymore. That's why I was like, oh my gosh. I felt like I just had a shot. Like that's what it felt like to me. Yeah, it was really, really strong.
I think it depends on the brand for me.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question. We do have a question. Somebody says, how often do you recommend using apple cider vinegar?
It's really going to depend upon the
body.
person and what's going on with you, but only when I only recommend it to people when they're eating things that have protein in them. So I am to the point in my health where I can do an apple cider vinegar infused beverage, which isn't all apple cider vinegar. What I'm talking about is like a small tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before dinner or something like that, which most people don't like. But it's really going to depend upon what you're eating and where you are in your health. I mean, for some people, apple cider vinegar just helps to do a lot of changes with the pH, and it helps them digest their food better. For other people, you need to add in enzymes because their body's just not producing them.
Yeah, no, what I found, I would take it with lemon and a little bit of honey a couple years ago.
That
I would do
helps
that.
you get it down,
I would
for
do
sure.
that in the morning, but I would find that my stomach would just be in knots. Remember, I used to have to put my head down for a while. It was like, oh my God, I can't. So finally, I realized I needed to do it at night.
Yeah, and that's
So
I do mine at night.
I do it at night, and I don't need the honey anymore. I don't even do the lemon. I just take a shot of the apple cider vinegar at night, and I actually like the way it makes me feel to go to bed. But if I can't do it during the day and have to function. I can do it before going to sleep, and I'm good.
But for people that have younger kids, like my son, he's 18 months, and he was taking like a powdered probiotic supplement. But if you want to start introducing like probiotic foods into, I mean, I think apple cider vinegar is probably too much for him right now.
I
So
don't use apple cider vinegar as the probiotic, but kombucha would be considered a probiotic. But I don't
you
know.
can give that to a toddler?
I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
No. I would do a really good quality yogurt.
Oh, okay.
And I would do it. So if you were to say, I mean, we talked about the coconut yogurt at the store being really kind of expensive, but also it's a supplement and you only take a little bit.
Right.
I would take that and mix it in with a smoothie or something like that your child's already eating. Just it adds some creaminess to it, but it's really, really high in probiotics. So go that route.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I would start introducing, because honestly, I hate yogurt, if I'm being 100% transparent.
Me too.
I hate yogurt. Can't stand it. It's not my favorite thing. But I treat myself like a child, and I mix it into my smoothie every single day.
And I used to give the kids yogurt, so I would give them yogurt.
Yeah.
Especially once they reached about August's age, I started giving them
Yeah, I just
yogurt.
wonder because it seems like a lot of the probiotic foods are so strong.
And
So
I
I'm
would,
like,
if you're doing a toddler, I would cut it in half and maybe even cut that in half. So you start even smaller, because in this particular yogurt, it's the probiotics are really, really high.
Okay.
That's why you only need to take so little.
Right.
And I actually, a couple nights, because I don't eat a whole lot, which is crazy, I know, another story. But I would do my tablespoon of that yogurt, and I would put a little bit of that cereal that we talked about earlier.
Like a little parfait in your spoon.
It would be like
Your
maybe
spoonful of parfait.
Yeah. But it was good. Oh my gosh. If you have a sweet tooth, I mean, it would satisfy that. It really would. It was
Just
good.
one spoonful?
Yeah, just one spoonful. It was good. That's my recommendation. It's making me have to go back over there and get some more now.
I know. I'm like logging all the products I want to
okay,
go
I'm
and
on
get.
my way.
It's like,
After this, I got to get the kids anyway, so yeah.
Are there other stores like yours around the country? Do you have colleagues around the country that do what you do that you can recommend to people? Because again, like I said, the majority of our viewers/listeners are not local. And I know you mentioned the website they can go to.
Yeah,
but
eatwild.com is the website I would go to. You won't find our store on eatwild.com because we're not a producer.
Okay.
So Eat Wild is about locating the producers. I think that, Instagram is a great resource.
Yeah.
Hashtag your local area and real food and see what comes up.
Okay.
It's a really great search engine, in my opinion, the way that
is.
it's set up. But yeah, I've actually had a few NTPs, nutritional therapy practitioners from other areas like Louisiana and New England reach out to me and ask me about, okay, well, we're thinking about setting up a local food store. What should we do? And so we've talked about those things with other people. I think Farm to Fork is pretty unique, and you'll probably find more co-ops than you will
an actual
retail type small grocers. There's less of a financial risk when you do co-op, because your co-op members are helping to pay for the items that you order that particular time, where when you do small grocer, you're obviously just paying the farmer and then retailing it out. So co-ops are probably going to be the best option for most people, but I also think you will find some local places popping up here and there, because like you said, I think some of us are looking to slow things down a little bit, and if we can walk to a small little grocer and pick something up, we will.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to take time.
And for the local people who haven't been to Farm to Fork, you should go, because people say the same thing about Crunchy Boutique. The way that we're going to survive is for the local community to rally behind us and support us.
Absolutely.
You've got to come to us instead of Bye Bye Baby or whatever to make sure that we can stay open. And it's the same thing for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
That, just bypass Sprouts or Whole Foods. It's really a great, I love the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
It's so cute. It's
Thank
really
you.
cute.
Yeah, I really like it.
It took a long time to cultivate it that way, but I think our staff is great, very knowledgeable.
Yes.
And
yes.
Like I said, we can connect you with the farmer, because that's really important. But small businesses need local support, plain and simple.
And Jennifer said yes with a big exclamation point. I think you carry her
elderberry syrup.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so do we. Yeah.
Shout out to Little Bean.
Yeah.
She's we love her.
Her heart is really in the right place. I think that's another thing. When you are supporting local, you're supporting somebody's passion, somebody's heart, and that's the only reason why small businesses get into small businesses, because they care about other people, and you're not going to find that at a big box store.
No.
Right.
No. And just feeling good about what you're buying, because I have to read every single label, even in Whole Foods or Sprouts. I've got to read the labels, and I don't feel like I have to work that hard when I go to your store. And especially even after this conversation, I know that you vetted every farmer, every producer or whatever beforehand to make sure that we don't have to do that. So that's definitely
to take a little of the work out of it.
Yeah. Because you'll be in the store all day reading labels. Like I was trying to find granola that didn't have sugar in it. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Like you might as well make it yourself.
It was just,
It's ridiculous, but
that's true.
Make it yourself.
It's hard to believe that the 2 hours has gone by so fast, but I want to give both of you an opportunity to impart final thoughts to our viewers. This is such an important topic. We're definitely going to have you to do part 2. We have to have you come back. But any final thoughts about anything we've talked about, maybe something that we haven't talked about, just closing remarks.
I guess for me, just, do what's right for your family. Eat what's right for you. Explore things that really make you feel healthy. That's always been my biggest thing. My journey has been on what makes me feel healthy. And I do the same. I tell everybody to do the same exact thing. Find what makes you feel great on the inside, what makes you feel great on the outside, making sure that your happiness is everything that you need it to be. So, and don't forget, follow Veggie Dallas.
Yeah, I was going to say, where can people find you? Yes, how can they find you?
At Veggie Dallas on Instagram. I will be exploring new restaurants this weekend.
And she's already listed several. So if you're looking for healthy restaurants.
Yes, there's definitely tons of places in the Dallas area and tons of places still popping up that you guys can definitely hit up.
Yeah, so follow Veggie Dallas.
Yes.
And I love that you're passing that on to your kids. Like you're openly communicating with your kids in that way. And we don't always talk about food with our kids.
No, I think it's quick for them to be like, can we stop at the drive-thru? No.
I packed a lunch for you.
We're going to cook. Yeah, and my kids don't eat school lunch. They actually do pack a lunch every day.
Mine do too. Yeah. Much to their chagrin. I think my final thoughts would just be to really get back in touch with what works for you, and really get connected again with food. And that does mean evaluating your lifestyle, and again, make changes that are, step you into that program. Don't just decide we're only eating at home this week. Say, make a meal plan. Sit down and say, I'm cooking twice this week and these are my meals. You're going to find that your kids are that's going to be on the Mother's Day card that they fill out at school. My mom really cooks for me. And it doesn't have to be this fancy meal. It can literally be the macronutrients, proteins, veggies, starch with, a good quality fat. It's simple, but get it around the table as a family.
Right. Okay.
And how can people find
Oh.
you? Where is Farm to Fork located?
Farm to Fork is located at 2001 West Mayfield Road in Arlington, Texas. And we have a Facebook page, Farm to Fork Foods, and an Instagram page. Farm
You have
to
a
Fork
website?
Foods. We do have a website. If you want to come, we also are offering home delivery, trying to make it as convenient as possible. And that is farmtoforkfoods.com. There is an S at the end of foods. And so if you're local to the area, you can register, plug in your zip code, schedule delivery for the week.
What's the delivery area? How broad?
Well, we're kind of all over. The one place we're not is Dallas.
Okay.
Sorry.
I live in Arlington.
That's
so
right,
I'm
you
good.
do. We're not in the Dallas area just because that's too big, but we do cover like Fort Worth and Burleson, Mansfield, and Arlington area. So it's a
Yeah, that's still pretty broad,
yeah.
It's pretty broad.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, ladies. We have definitely had a blast.
you.
And like I
Thanks
said,
for
we're going to have
having
part
us.
two.
Thanks for having us.
We want to remind you again that Birth Texas is a 501c3 nonprofit organization empowering expecting moms and birth workers through education and community events. Join them on July 21st at the Arlington Convention Center as they welcome Shafia Monroe for a fun-filled event on childbirth and parenting. Check out their Facebook group for more information or visit birthtexas.org to access their online guide of evidence-based birth providers and childbirth and parenting events throughout the Metroplex. Empower yourself with Birth Texas. Remember Crunchy Boutique, the natural parenting store here in Arlington, Texas, and online. You can find Crunchy Boutique on Instagram at crunchy_boutique, on Facebook at Crunchy Boutique TX, or visit the website at crunchyboutique.net. Crunchy Boutique is your source for all things natural parenting. That's cloth diapers, baby carriers, breastfeeding supplies, breastfeeding support, and a whole lot more. Be sure to follow Crunchy Boutique on social media to keep up with the latest news. Thank you also to our listeners and Facebook viewers. Thank you, thank you. Be sure to catch us each and every Monday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time on Fishbowl Radio Network on FBRN.US in the Green Stream, or find us on our Facebook page, Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. If you'd like to continue today's conversation, please feel free to comment on the video on Facebook and we will respond. You'll want to be sure to tune in next week when we welcome two experts regarding the crisis of maternal and infant mortality rate in the Black community, Hakima Tafunzi Payne and Nakia Lawson. You will not want to miss this very important conversation, so get your questions, comments ready. We are sure to have a great discussion. And that is it, ladies.
So we'll
Thank
see you next time. Thank you
so much,
again.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.